The 70s was what my grandmother called one of the best times in her life. I chose to interview my grandmother, Judy Payne. She was born February 25th, 1947. I chose to interview her because I respect my grandma a lot, and I felt that she would be honest with the questions that I asked her. My grandparents were in the military, and so they traveled a lot. During the decade of the 70s, they lived in Canada, Virginia, and also Colorado. This was a time when America was beginning to change, and there was a lot of aspects that would affect our future and future generations. In this speech, I will discuss the interview that I had with my grandma Judy by explaining some of the political trends that were occurring in the 70s and some of the similarities and differences between pop culture in the 70s and today. Some of the political trends going on during the 70s included the Vietnam War, women beginning to gain rights, and the end of the Civil War. These were all very big moments in our country, and it's just amazing how change that's happening in the country affects everyone and everything. I asked my grandma if she had done any or participated in any sort of groups or any social trends going on. And she told me that she had started a small group to help women feel safe. Now, she started this group because she told me she had lost a lot of friends due to back alley abortions. And so she wanted to let women know that they could feel safe and choose pro-choice. She also informed me that what she disliked most about the 70s was how minorities were treated still. She said it was a dark time towards the beginning because people such as blacks weren't allowed to use the same bathrooms yet. And she said that women weren't allowed, they weren't treated equally as men yet. And so she said she was definitely frustrated with some of the aspects that took place during the 70s. These things that she told me are very similar to our Ethnic Notions movie that we watched in Module 9, and I definitely feel a lot of frustration towards the topic, so I could understand how she would be as frustrated too. But there were also some good things that happened during the 70s, such as pop culture. There were a lot of similarities and differences in pop culture in the 70s and today, and one of the biggest differences would have been technology. My grandma told me that they only had one television in their house that streamed black and white, and she said that they didn't watch it very much because there was not a lot of channels and the screen was very small, so they'd all have to sit very close. I did ask her if they liked to listen to the radio, and she said when they lived in Canada, they didn't listen to radio very much because it streamed a lot of British channels and stations, so that wasn't one of the things they did very much in Canada. But when they moved back to the States, they did listen to the radio, and my grandma listened to a lot of soft rock and country western music, and those happened to be her favorites. So they did listen to the radio when they were in the car or when they were just having fun at home. I asked her if they had a phone or a landline, and she told me that they had one landline that was hooked up to the wall, and her exact words were they were only as mobile as the cord could reach. So that is definitely one of the differences between the 70s and today, was that your technology just wasn't as accessible. Today you can go buy a flat screen TV and have a handheld cellular device, and that's just not things that were possible in the 70s. The clothing was a big difference in the 70s because my grandparents wore go-go boots and love beads and all the fun things that women were just starting to be allowed to wear. They didn't have to wear skirts in public anymore. They could wear pantsuits, and that was definitely an exciting time for them. The styles have changed and progressed over the years, but one of the main things that remains the same is the music and people's love for the beat and the rhythm. Overall, while interviewing my grandma, I learned that there are many similarities and differences between the two decades, and politics was as much a part of today that was as much a part in the 70s as it was today. And one of the main similarities was music, because people love music no matter what generation you're in. One of the biggest differences was politics, because there were things such as racism going on, and women weren't allowed to do certain things that men could, and that has definitely changed from the 1970s and today. One thing for sure is that what happened in the 70s is what helped shape America into the country it is today. Thank you.